Hey everyone, welcome. So in this explainer, we're going to dive into a really powerful but also kind of radical idea, and it's this. What if true peace, real freedom, isn't something we have to chase in the future? What if it's right here, right now? Let's get into it.
So let's just start with this question right off the bat, because it really cuts to the core of everything we're talking about. Just think about this for a second. Are you so busy getting to the future that the present is just a means of getting there? Is your life just this constant race to the next thing, where right now is nothing more than a stepping stone? I think for a lot of us, that feeling is going to sound pretty familiar.
So why do we do that? Well, to figure it out, we've got to diagnose a really common problem, one that most of us don't even notice. The source material we're looking at calls it the trap of unconsciousness.
And I want you to pay attention to that word, ordinary. This isn't some weird, mystical thing we're talking about. Nope. It's described as this constant, low-level static of just being unhappy. You know that background noise of discontent? That's what it is. And it all comes from fighting against the present moment. For so many of us, this is just our default setting.
Or, to put it even more simply, it's just that nagging feeling that wherever you are, it's not quite right, that you should be somewhere else. Your here is never good enough. And it's that feeling, that deep dissatisfaction, that's the fuel for so much of our stress and anxiety.
Okay, so how does this actually show up in our day-to-day lives? Well, there are a few really common symptoms we can all look out for.
All right, first up, complaining. And just think about that for a second. Every single complaint, whether you say it out loud or it's just a thought in your head, is basically you refusing to accept what's happening. You're pushing back against reality, against what is. And when you do that, you're unconsciously making yourself the victim. You're literally giving away your power.
Okay, next symptom is stress. And the way this is defined is, well, it's fascinating. Stress is basically an inner split. You are physically here, but your mind is desperately trying to be there. And that gap, that constant tug of war between where you are and where you want to be, that's what creates stress. It's literally tearing you apart on the inside. And the last big symptom, we get trapped in time, right? Our mind gets stuck in the past. And what does that do? It just churns up all this guilt, resentment, anger, regret. Or it shoots off into the future, creating this endless loop of worry and what-if thoughts. And both of these things, they just drain all our energy from the only moment that actually exists, which is right now.
Okay, so that might sound a little bleak, right? We've diagnosed the problem, we've seen the symptoms. But here's the good news. There's a clear, powerful way out of this trap. And that brings us to a really important framework for taking back control of your life.
So, let's ask this question. And be honest, we've all been there, right? Stuck in a situation, a job, a relationship, whatever, that just feels intolerable, unbearable. In that moment, what can you really do?
Well, according to these teachings, you really only have 3 choices. That's it. Number 1, you can remove yourself from the situation. Just leave. Number 2, you can try to change it. Or, number 3, you can accept it totally. And I mean totally, with 0 inner resistance. And here's the key. If you want to take responsibility for your own life, you have to pick one.
And that's where this quote comes in. All else is madness. It really drives the point home, doesn't it? Because not choosing, just staying stuck in that state of complaining and resisting, that's described as its own kind of insanity. It's you refusing to deal with reality, and it's what keeps you feeling stuck and totally powerless. Now let's talk about that third option, acceptance. Because honestly, it's the one that gets misunderstood the most. So let's really dive into what's being called the incredible strength that's found in true surrender. First things first, surrender does not mean giving up. It's not passive. It's a conscious, active choice you make. It means you stop the war that's going on in your head. You stop fighting reality. You just fully accept the isness of this moment, exactly as it is. No arguments.
And this is such a critical point. We're taught to think surrender's weak, that it's just being a doormat. But in this way of thinking, it's the total opposite. It's a source of incredible strength. It gives you inner freedom. It gives you this deep spiritual power because you've stopped being at war with life.
And here's the really cool paradox. When you truly surrender, you become free on the inside, no matter what is happening on the outside. And what's wild is that sometimes, once you drop that inner fight, the outside situation just changes, almost like magic, without you having to force anything.
All right, let's talk about one last really specific way we run away from the present. And this is a habit that is so common, so ingrained, we barely even notice we're doing it. And that is the state of mind we call waiting.
And just to be clear, when we say waiting, we're not just talking about, waiting in line at the grocery store. It's a state of mind. It's this mental posture where you're always saying, I don't want this moment, I want the next one. You're constantly rejecting the now because you're hoping for a better future.
And we do this all the time. On a small scale, right? Getting frustrated in a traffic jam. But we also do it on a huge scale. Waiting for the next vacation, waiting for a better job, waiting for the kids to finally get older, waiting to feel happy. I mean, you could waste your entire life just waiting to actually start living.
So what's the alternative? Well, imagine this. Someone comes up to you, they're late, and they say, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry I made you wait." And you can genuinely, honestly reply, "It's no problem at all. I wasn't waiting. I was just standing here enjoying myself." That's the shift. Moving from that mindset of lack and wanting to just being present, just being here.
And when you get right down to it, this leads to a whole new way of thinking about prosperity. See, it's not about what you're going to get someday in the future. Real prosperity is the feeling of gratitude for the fullness of life that's available to you right here, right now, in this moment. That's it. That's the only place you'll ever find it.
So I want to leave you with this one last powerful question to ask yourself. And I mean right now. Forget about next year, forget about tomorrow, forget about even 5 minutes from now. Just look at this exact moment. If you drop all the stories and just experience it, what problem do you actually have right now?